Hi. Welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm Tammy White. I'm the founder of the Bobby White Foundation. The only reason we're laughing so hard is Bonnie White's just on the phone like 10 seconds before we were supposed to start.
Yeah, it was one of those, Rob's doing the countdown, and I'm like, I gotta go. It's my grandson, so it's like, when he calls, it's like, gotta answer right away. Dude, I'm in the studio. But hey, I'm Bonnie Snyder. You're on the phone host, or co-host.
You never know what's going to happen around here.
We always say that, this is an unscripted show. We, kind of roll with how we roll, and this is how we do. And, I'm gonna take a line from your page. Speaking of, hey, Rob doing the countdown, we always want to thank John, Rob, Gage, and Dylan. Our crew here at Weaving TV. For making us look good and helping us bring this platform. And thank you to those of y'all who tune in to us every week. I had a brain lapse. Like, what word was I looking for? But anyway,
Yeah, no, we appreciate it all. Yeah, and even we had a little mic hookup issue too at the beginning. So, but hey, all is good. So we're ready to roll.
Exactly.
You guys, like Bonnie said, we appreciate you tuning in and watching us every week. And even if you watch some of the shows on demand that are all available on the website or on the Facebook page. But we also want to thank the Hilton Garden Inn, who has a collection of artwork that was donated to the foundation, hanging out there that is available. We're slowly getting them up on the website. But if you're local, you can go out and visit. We have a lot of local events and seminars and stuff out at the hotel. So be sure and try and visit them. And also, we have our T-shirts, and we have and you're still doing your Facebook birthday fundraiser,
right?
I think that's still
that hasn't closed down yet.
Yeah. So there's one. The T-shirts, that's the first T-shirt that we did, and that QR code will take you right to the website. And even if you're not local, you can order a T-shirt, and they will send it right directly to you. And if you're local, I do have a few in the foundation office. Yeah. So we have that. We're going to have haven't got it up and running yet. Maybe by the time the show airs, it will be. We're going to have another way to donate, and it's text to call.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be a dedicated phone number that you just text, and you can donate whatever amount you want. So that's going to be added to all the other ways that you can help support the foundation. And one way is this way with our door that we have that my nieces
Yes,
did.
Hey, Beatles fans, there's a door for you.
Yeah, this would make a really cool conversation piece in your office or your conference room, your home, your man cave. If you're interested in this door, it actually works. The window does roll up and down. So our great nieces are the ones that designed and did the artwork on that. So that's available. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways. So if you check out our Facebook page or website, and also I mentioned the Facebook birthdays. I wanted to mention I saw this morning, it's kind of like our in-laws side of the family. My Bobby's sister's husband's brother son is doing a fundraiser birthday.
Oh, nice.
Keelan Keen, and I wanted to mention that and thank Keelan for this is the second year that he's done that for his birthday too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I also look at ways that as a community and our community members promote the show and the foundation. I don't know if you saw it. I don't think I posted it on my social media, but Greg was in, doing some training, at his, where he works at. And one of the, day last week, they asked him, they were like, everybody do a, they're doing their training is virtual, and they do it on the Zoom platform. And so they told him, it's like, hey, everybody, we want you to put your favorite charity up as your virtual background. And, a lot of times when he's in training, he's texting me. I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be working. But anyway, he, sent me a text message that said, today is Support Your Favorite Charity Day. And I'll have to send it to you. He sent me a screenshot, and he had the foundation as the charity, behind him. And
tell him thank you.
He works for a nationally known company,
right?
And so, just to get it out there. I think I have to ask him, was everybody given an opportunity to explain what their respective charities were? But I thought that was really, really sweet of him when he sent me the picture.
Yeah.
The foundation name was backwards behind him, and I'm like, oh my God! It's like, is it backwards behind yours? And he was like, no, it's just the way, when he sent the photo to me, how it sent the photo backwards.
Flips it, yeah.
So he said, yeah, no, that's just the picture. But, but I mean, how many people are out there, supporting, or there are other ways that you can support the foundation, even if it's not, monetarily, just getting the word out about the foundation, what its purpose is, because, this is, an important cause that, we're working, to bring awareness to.
Exactly, and actually, last Friday night, we have a new community partner for our purple folders because of something that happened last Friday night. A local pastor reached out on Facebook asking for individuals or organizations to help with suicide loss survivors, and a couple of people that I don't even personally know, they put the Bobby White Foundation right up there, and then Kelly Rodriguez tagged me in it. But it was kind of cool to go and just look at it, and it's like, oh, it's right there. And people that, I don't personally know, but it's out in the community, and the word is getting out. And so I did reach out to him Friday night, and he called me Saturday morning to talk, and we talked back and forth. And so Monday, I took him 10 purple folders. And actually, I sent it to Rob. The inside of the purple folders.
He just had it up there for us.
Yeah. That's the inside of the purple folders. Now, all those pages are printed front and back. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of information on there. And that little seed, the little packet there on the lower left, is a little seed packet of forget-me-not flowers that I thought was really kind of cool. But I added to I don't know if I sent this to you, Rob, or not. The list of, I think I did. The updated resources list, and I put that in the back.
Nice.
So it has the updated resources. It has the links to all our pages, and I just did it like this to put in the back so that it adds to the ones that we've already had, because these are going to be changing even more than they were when we first started these. So we'll be adding those, and probably within the next couple months we'll have our third printing, which will have the updated, there it is, the updated resources. And I didn't notice that went off kilter. Oh, it did on that one. Oh, that's weird. It's not on here. But anyways, and I'll have more information too from NAMI Pinellas. I'm going to try and get Jody to come on the show and talk about their suicide grief support group. And I have a bunch of these in the truck for you.
Yes, because
seeing how you didn't call me and come over when you
this weekend
thought about it.
What was going on this weekend? This was a crazy week. You know, this field can be rewarding. This work is actually rewarding, even though, you know, it is, you know, difficult work, or can be difficult work. You know, it's very rewarding. This was just a, you know, absolutely bonkers of a week. And I think when I walked out, what was I supposed to do this weekend? Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I was, you know, I had a coalition meeting last night, and I was, you know, talking to like one of my committee members, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to get you some folders, you know, by the way. So yeah, it happens.
Well, they're in the truck.
Appreciate you.
I wanted to mention the church. It's Next Level Church on Darlington.
I used to do groups there.
Do you know Pastor Kevin Haggerty?
You know, you asked me if I know Pastor Kevin Haggerty. Pastor Kevin Haggerty was one of the pastors who did Patrick's eulogy. Yes, I know Kevin very well.
Okay.
Yes, Kevin is a personal friend, and yes, Kevin, and he's not the pastor there anymore, Michael Kirk, who used to be the main pastor at Next Level. Kevin did Patrick's eulogy. I know Kevin very well.
Okay, well, that's where they are. So, Next Level Church on Darlington Road has folders available. We'll have, Pastor Kevin wanted me to give them, you'll have, I got to make sure I say this right, his email and phone number. And that'll be available on both of our Facebook pages and the website where the resources are for our purple folders. So Next Level Church is a new community partner.
You know, Kevin would be a good guest to bring on the show for everything that they do, because a lot of what Next Level does, you know, that's the majority, at least, you know, from what I remember of it, and I don't think it's changed, mind you, has been, consists of people that are in recovery.
Yeah, they're big in the recovery community.
He would be a good person to invite on. And I'd be one of those things where, you know, we invite him on the show, but don't tell him I'm your co-host.
Oh, that would be funny.
You know, don't let him figure that one out until let him figure it out when he gets here.
Oh, no.
You know, unless, you know, he's watched the show already and knows. But yeah.
Well, no, I told him about the show, so and I gave him the information, so he'll probably, well,
maybe not. But yeah, no, he would, you know, at least, you know, not only for me from that personal perspective, but, you know, if you look at when we do our, when we do our intro, you know, that intro role that we do, that's, introduces the show, right there it says, you know, substance abuse or substance addiction. And again, because, you know, not only is Kevin himself a person in long-term recovery, you know, he works a lot with that community.
Right.
And, you know, we do lose, you know, people,
yeah.
Should I say anymore? You know, we do use people who are struggling with addictions, you know, to suicide and loss, and you know.
Yes, drug addiction, alcohol, you know, and they both play such a huge role in a lot of the suicide deaths.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So we're really happy anyway to have them on board, and hoping to get more of the area churches to be our community partners too. That was actually one of the thing that was on our plate 2 years ago to start doing when COVID hit. And so,
and, you know, the other thing with Next Level and Kevin, he would also be a really good source for fundraising as well.
We'll have to keep that in mind.
So I may have to, you know, maybe we won't keep, you know.
Don't keep him in the dark.
I won't keep him in the dark. We're like, dude, you didn't tell me this. Do you know that? And let's get you on the show.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. And speaking of getting somebody on the show, Also, we have coming up, we had a meeting last week via Zoom with Kim and the team from Parks and Rec. So we're going to have, I don't have a name for it. It's going to still play off what we did in October, recreate your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And for Mental Health Awareness Month, the date is going to be May 14th at SunWest Park, probably from about 8 until 12. But we're going to have, vendors, organizations like ours, of course. They're available with information. They're going to do yoga and kayaking, and I guess there's a hiking trail around there, which I would never...
At SunWest?
Yeah. And they said something about doing a hiking trail, and there's going to be a lot of activities.
There is. When I think of SunWest, I think primarily of like the beach area.
Yeah, that's what I think of.
But there is a park area that I think I've been to like maybe once or twice. I mean, when I go there for the beach.
Yeah, I haven't even been there. So this will be the first time I'm there. But I think we're also going to get food trucks there, the healthy, we're leaning towards the health part of it, because a lot of people don't correlate your food and mental health, and it really makes a difference in what you're putting in your body, and especially if you're having
excuse me,
if you're having issues. Because I know I recognized that with me a few years ago when I was having a hard time and I started eating this crappy stuff that, I have a coupon for this. I've never eaten this before. But it was all processed foods. Mm-hmm. And it was playing into that and making it worse. And once I realized that and got back on to eating the way that Bobby and I normally ate, it was much easier to pull myself out of that.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I do find, diet, exercise, and all those, healthier things, absolutely do. I know, for myself, it's like, why am I, 40 pounds over my weight right now?
There's a lot of us.
And it's
the
funny.
COVID.
Well, I mean, for me, it wasn't. No, this was all pre-COVID. I'm not blame. I don't blame this on COVID at all. Because I sit back and I think about. Going from eating, healthier stuff to I didn't care what I was eating. I didn't care about what quantity I was eating. It's a lot of comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the comfort foods. Like, okay, I had comfort food for lunch. I had a slice of pizza. But at the same time, those. The snacks, the pizzas, the cookies and whatnot, I would not look at somebody and say, just cut those out of your diet, altogether. It's okay, they're okay once in a while in moderation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, there are people who, and I can throw myself in this category when you're, depressed or, you're going through some stuff. It is, there's no consciousness to what you're eating. And then, it's not until... a month or a year later, it's like, look what I've done.
Well, and it's easier to pull out those processed foods, and although, if you, it really doesn't take that much more effort to make something healthy.
Yeah, but I think our brain,
but it's not the way that we're conditioned in our society.
No, we're not. We're not. I mean, it's
look at the lines around McDonald's.
Exactly. And I sit back and I think to myself, it's like, I am not a fan of fast food, but how many times, as I'm headed home, it's like, okay, I've just had a long day and I didn't take anything out of the freezer, or what do I have in the fridge? And it's, just let me, I'll stop at McDonald's and
well, and you got 2 teenagers at home now, too, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, there is that. Thankfully for me, though, that they're not teenagers quite yet.
Well, almost. They're almost pre-teens.
You would think that they're teenagers.
Pre-teens. Well, they're both taller than I am, so.
Tammy. They're almost as taller than me. I could joke and say, Tammy, you're petite. Look how petite you are.
I was going to say, anybody that's 12-year-old, at least 12 years old, or is taller than me. So.
My children used to joke at me, and like I consider myself average height, but my kids would be like, they call me Shorty. It's like, yeah, we're taller than you, Mom. And I'm like, yeah, or I said something to them, but they were taller than me, and my kids looked at me and said, it's not that difficult to be taller than you. You're short. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah,
kids.
I get that all the time too.
Yeah.
I think I quit growing in junior high school, and I'm the oldest, but I'm the shortest in my family and my siblings.
Yeah, I think of us girls, I think I'm the next. I am probably the shortest in my family as well. I'm trying to think. I have a sister who's 2 years younger than I. It will be one of the two of us, is the shortest. My brothers, the males in our family, they are 6 foot or better, all of them.
Well, my little brother, he's the youngest. And he, in grade school, he was always the shortest kid, too. I was always the shortest kid. We were always in the front row in the class pictures and stuff. And my mom started giving him, I don't know, some sort of vitamins, I can't remember, because she had heard that it'll help him grow. My brother ended up being 6 feet tall. He ended up being taller than all of us.
Yeah, my kids have gone through these growth spurts. I love these rabbit holes we end up going down here.
Well, Bobby one year, he was tall. He was like 6'1". I can't remember what year it was. I don't know if it was like his sophomore year or freshman year of high school. In one summer, he grew 7 inches.
Wow.
And his sister grew a lot too one year, and they ended up having knee issues because they grew too fast. Bobby outgrew his, but his sister went and had knee surgery on both her knees when she was in high school. Mm-hmm. She's always had problems with him, but yeah, one year he grew 7 inches over the summertime.
Wow.
I didn't grow. I didn't grow. So we're going to continue with our book because last week's episode was pretty much dedicated to Dr. Wolfelt.
Mm-hmm, it was.
Which was fine, which was good with us. So we got a little bit started with chapter 6 of our book, How to Carry What Can't Be Fixed. Again, this is available on Amazon. If you go to smile.amazon.com, or we have a QR code that'll take you directly to the area to purchase the book. And we are, that's another way, we're an Amazon affiliate. So a little teeny bit of money comes our way when you purchase it that way. So there's a couple different ways that you can do that. But if you want to do that and go through the book with us, and, we encourage you, if you are doing that, to, if you're up to it, you feel like it, make some comments in the comment of the Facebook page, or, if you have any questions or anything, you can get a hold of us through email or phone number with the foundation. But we're kind of encouraging people to be a little bit more interactive with it with us, and I think it's a good thing. Reading the book and, going through the book with us is not just limited to those of you that might be, loss survivors. Oh, no.
This is also, really, I find excellent reads for, someone who is a support system. I find, in my, daily work, I pull, from resources, like the books or whatnot, when I'm, dealing with, people that, I'm working with, again, in my day-to-day work. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this is not just, a lost survivors,
yeah, it's not just for, this is good for any type of grief. And, really right now, our world is crazy, and we have that crazy war going on, and it is so heartbreaking to watch the news, and that's not helping people's mental health. So limit yourself with your news watching. I know I have to, because otherwise I just cry. I do.
See, I'm just the opposite. I I can watch news, all day, every.
My neighbor is the same way, and I can't. Last night, because I didn't watch it at all during the day, and I watched the nightly news, and it was over. I was just bawling. I called my neighbor. I was like, oh, I can't do that anymore, And limit yourself, because it's just it is a lot.
Or, I would say, in addition to limiting yourself, I would also, I would put a tweak on that and say, know your limits as well.
Well, yeah.
Because, there are, some of us that, can, handle, a lot of stimulus, negative news and whatnot, and okay. And then there are others that don't handle it as much, but at the same time, I look at it and say, I'm taking in all of the stimulus, and then what happens if it's one little thing that, it's kind of like a balloon blowing up, and then that one thing happens, and it's, pops the balloon, and, you're, a blubbering mess. But yeah, know your limits, and, be aware of, what's going on inside you. So.
And if you're having a hard time, reach out to somebody.
Absolutely.
Don't try and go through it alone. So, do you remember how far we got?
Well, I think
The first page?
talking about the first page. Excuse me. I think we were picking up where she talks about not hiding your anxiety, and how some people are and she says it here, are ashamed when they are feeling anxious or any kind of negative emotion. It's almost like it's taboo to feel.
Well, it goes back to the stigma that society puts on people, which is not right. Yeah, because we did that, and that's where I had to rethink my anxiety deals.
That's true, and I like what she says here when she says anxiety is normal. It's yet another way your mind is trying to reorder the world after your loss. And I would say, reorder your world after, any, traumatic experience, whether it's a loss, whether it is, you're going in to get a new job, you're going into, entering in a new relationship.
You're moving.
Yeah, you're moving. Any change.
Yeah.
And so I like that. And she goes on. She says, if you you tend to feel anxious or feel anxiety, she says, right? I feel anxious more often than most people know. And what I find with that, for me, the takeaway with that is, oftentimes people don't know what I'm feeling. Like if I'm having an anxious moment or, a negative emotion kind of moment, people don't realize it. And so this one jumped out at me. I was like, that's true. And the question becomes, well, why is that? What's the reason why people don't recognize it? Well, a lot of it is I don't tell. One, I have this ability, more times not, to become very stone-faced. People don't inside.
They can't read you very well.
Yeah, or my face is misread.
You said that. Yeah.
You're angry. No, not. Well, yeah, you look angry. Okay, can't help my face. Or I'll walk away, or I'll say something to somebody. I'll make a comment to somebody like, "I'm having the crappiest day," and you just completely overlooked it, and they're like, "I didn't know." And a part of it as well, if you're not able to express, or I should say not able, some of us are not able. If you're unable, and a lot of times, and I would say in my case, sometimes it's an unwillingness, because I don't want to be a burden on anybody else.
Right.
I'm supposed to, come on, I work mental health. I'm supposed to have this together. I'm supposed to know this stuff. You teach coping skills. Use what you teach. Or my favorite one is, if I was sitting on the other side of the table, what would I be saying to the
Right.
person? But it is important, to recognize when you feel anxious, what situations you feel anxious about, and then attaching a strategy or, a mechanism to, not even, I mean, if you can eliminate it, that's great, lessen the anxiety.
Well, and she gives you here on the next page an anxiety log. So you can kind of keep track of, the date and time, how your anxiety is. And she wants you to use it two ways. When you're feeling anxious, when you're in the midst of that, and also when you're not. So you can tell more what triggers and maybe what makes the state that you're in when you're not feeling that way.
And the other important thing, too, is recognizing what helps the anxiety feel better. And I like the idea of having multiple tools in my tool bag because, let's just say, in this situation, a couple of deep breaths, she's like, inhale, don't forget, it's fun, I thought it was cunning, she goes, take a breath, exhale too.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was funny, too. Take a deep breath.
But,
what am I going to do now?
But exhale. However, recognizing that, there are some situations that, I can just sit back, close my eyes, take a couple of deep breaths and, kind of, blow it away. There are other times when I'm anxious where taking a couple of deep breaths is not going to do it any good. I need to, go to the gym or go for a walk. You scream into a pillow, call, phone a friend, read a book, something else. So I really, I like cog behavioral stuff, anyway. But having this, the boss. I like having this log, that you're able to visualize and recognize the patterns that happen when you're feeling anxious.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's good, and that's part of it too. Pattern recognition. And she has on the next page, once you chart that, and then it gives you a visual, and I'm a visual person anyways, so it'll help you notice your patterns. And even here, she has here, once you've charted several days worth of anxiety, look for recurring themes. For many people, anxiety increases when they're overtired, not eating well, or exposed to multiple challenges. Are there patterns in your anxiety? When is it more noticeable? Are there patterns to the days when your anxiety is lower? And she gives you space to list the things that you notice about your experience. And then anxiety intervention.
What I like about the anxiety interventions is, once you have the ability to identify these are my patterns, then the interventions are really nice because I look at it as I don't want to say a warning sign, but like a what's the word I want? Like a safe haven to keep the anxiety from getting excessive. You may not always, so for example, if I know, I'll use an example, public speaking, all right? If, you know that you get a high level of anxiety when you have to, go into public speaking, but it's a part of your work. So what do you do? And it's like, so what are some interventions that you could do? Like one of the things that I teach, that one of the curriculums that I use, it talks about stuff like mental rehearsal. All right, so I know I've got to do this. Let me practice what I'm going to say, in my head, or let me, sit back and think about what are all the different scenarios that can come up in this particular situation, and have a way to combat that, combat it when it happens. And, it's like, all right, your anxiety is, potentially, or we'd hope, is not going to go off the rails. It's like, all right, let me tap, I can tap the brakes on this, or, I could, again, keep it at a manageable level. And that's what I like about, things like this, is because, again, it gets you to identify, mitigate, lessen, and, like kind of cut them off, or prevent them from getting out of control.
Right. It helps give you tools, easy tools for you to have real easy and quick access to when you're start to feel that way.
As well as recognizing this tool may work in this particular situation.
Right.
It may not work in this
And
one.
another one, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this thing where she goes, intrusive thoughts and images, and she has this picture now playing a movie of my mind. And, it's, again, it is not uncommon to have, intrusive thoughts and images, after any, traumatic situation. Again, it's normal. Sometimes I find with some people, things are misread as well. Like they're
Like, what do you mean?
like let me see if I can think of a good example. Someone's saying something that is well intended, but the way it comes out,
Okay.
it's it's not said in a way that you, like, if the roles were reversed, you would have said it. And so, oh my God, this person is just, the most inconsiderate person there is, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Yeah, I think we've all had that happen to us at one point or another. And she gives you room on a totally blank page to, which that's one thing I really like about this book too, is gives you space to draw or doodle, or if you want to glue stuff to it. She says on the following page, draw a collage, a replacement image that you can call up in your mind anytime the pictures or thoughts in your head are too intense. And often it's recommended to take a picture of it. And so, because you're not always going to have this book with you.
No, you're not.
But you can have a picture of it on your phone, and when you feel something happening or coming up, I got this, and it might help.
Speaking of taking pictures or whatnot, I always subscribe to that. I shouldn't say always. Let me rephrase this. I begin believing in when you see a cardinal. It's somebody visiting. And on my way to the studio, I'm standing outside, talking to one of the kids, friend's mom. Can he stay? Can he hang here? I gotta go to work. I'm like, okay. Well, he ended up not staying. And as I'm standing there, there's these two cardinals, just sitting in the street by my house, and I'm looking at them. And my phone was in the house, so I had no way of taking this picture. And I was like, oh my gosh. And, Jabril, the youngest of the 12-year-olds, was like, what? And I was like, oh, it's two cardinals. And I was like, and I explained to him, when you see the two red birds, it's somebody visiting. And he just kind of looks over and he sees the bird and he goes, it's probably Uncle Pat. And I said, and Aiden's with him. But, looking at that, I was like, that would have been a perfect picture to put right here on this page.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of times, see, that's what happens. But what you can do is go to a magazine or find a couple of pictures of cardinals and just stick it on the page.
True, I could do that. However, for me, it would be like, it's not the same thing.
It's not the
ones that were by my house. Or it's just, or there's a squirrel that, and I did get a picture of it. There's a squirrel that comes and sits on one of the posts in my backyard. And it's this particular wooden fence, around my property, wooden privacy fence. And one of the last projects Patrick and I did was, we had to replace, of course it's wood, it rots, it's replaced. And this squirrel comes and he just perches himself on that particular post. And, I was able to get a picture of it, and I was like, yeah, I guess he's just chilling, and this is the last, I find images like that where, and I would say the same thing for anybody, where, having images that are also attached to fond memories of the person that you've lost, to be, exceedingly helpful, because it's like, hey, I miss you, I wish you were here, but I remember when we put this, when we put this post up, or, hey, I remember when, and I think of other things, like for me, every time I clean the garage, take a before and picture, after picture of the garage, that would go here.
Right.
Hey, dude, look at what the garage looks like. I know you're fussing at me about, really, how did the garage get like this again? But then, hey, dude,
here it is.
Here. So.
At my, for our family, the cardinals are really big, like for my in-laws, for my mother and father-in-law, but it's a hawk for Bobby. And recently my sister-in-law sent me a picture. A hawk was perched right at the edge of her roof. And this was just like a week or so ago. And so they'll do that every once in a while, because that's our thing, is when we see the hawks. But she also, with all this, give your mind a mental break. And however that's going to work for you. She has in here one of those word search puzzles, and which I really like. When I broke my leg right after Bobby died, some people put together this big basket, and it had a bunch of word search little books in there. For me also, mine is crocheting. It gives, because I just have to concentrate on what I'm doing. Sometimes, if it's an easy pattern, I don't even have to do that. My cousin and I have a couple patterns that we like. They call it brain dead something patterns, and you can just do it, and you don't really have to think about it. But doing something like that, a little bit constructive, more so than just sitting and blindly watching TV. That's really easy to do, and for me, I don't find that helpful at all.
Yeah, my newest hobby is quilting. It's same. It's like this side of my head says it's sewing. You're using your sewing machine, which I love my sewing machine. It's remember as a kid, I used to make clothes for Barbie dolls. But yeah, I like that she put in, taking those mental breaks, regardless to what that meant, whether it's a word search puzzle, crocheting, sewing.
Sitting and reading a book for a half an hour or something.
Exactly.
Just something to give your mind a break, because we tend to just go, and our brain just, it needs to rest, especially when you're having difficult times. You don't have to think all the time.
No, you don't. That's a nice segue into the next section where she talks about controlling your feelings, where she says, grief is not going to feel good, but there are, how does she say, there are certainly times when the enormity of your grief is harder to manage than others. And, where she talks about doing some things that you can do that are, mundane, it's kind of like, and some of the examples she has is count the orange things that are around you and name them. Or choose the letter of the alphabet and name all the words you can think of that start with that letter. Count backwards from 100, by 75. Okay.
No, that's by sevens.
Oh, by sevens.
Are you gonna, okay, can you count backwards from 100 by sevens?
I was like, I'm looking at, what is that? That doesn't sound right. By sevens. List all the names of the plants and the animals, that you know. So I like that these are, again, it goes back to where, I remember, years ago when I was, really deep in my feelings, and I was just, I was having a fit, just yelling, I was, just, and my ex-husband, he's sitting there and he's, like I'm venting to him, kind of venting to him, but just like venting to myself. But he's sitting there, and I have feet, and in the midst of like I can't remember what it was that I was upset about, but like I said, I was in my feelings, like they were intense. And when he was like, I have feet, I just remember stopping him. What? And I was like, he says, I have feet. And I think I've said this before, when we were talking about managing feelings and whatnot. What the devil does, where did that just came out of left field? And, he just looked at me for a moment and he was like, I bet you're not as angry as you were before. And I had to stop for a minute, because mind you, he's not a mental health professional. He was not in the field. And so I remember looking at him like, wow, wow, that worked, and I still remember that. I mean, this incident happened. Let's see, 13. I want to say probably 14 years ago. I don't even know if were we married even then. But it's funny that like I said, he's my ex-husband, and I still remember that situation. Because we do use it as a technique when you're in your feelings. Just throw something at you out of left field that you kind of like you do that mind break.
Yeah, it's going to stop you like, what?
Instead of feeding the
Feeding
feeling,
into it,
something
right.
you use to break it up.
And she gives you space, and she says, just try it. Don't wait until you have a meltdown. It's a good exercise.
And again, she goes, a go-to list for those tough moments. And, I like where she's, the reminder of here's some things that I can do when I am, in that, having those tough spots. I tell everybody, if you're not used to using, coping skills or, strategies to manage anger, it becomes, it can be difficult when you're first starting out. But then the more you practice, the more you get in the habit of using them over and over and over again. After a while, they become second nature.
Right. And if you write something down, that helps. It'll help you get into that. It'll help you remember a little bit more that, I can use this, but it's repetition. That'll help you do that. I like what she put at the bottom of this page. Remember that turning away from your pain when your pain is too big for the situation is a kindness. It's a way to tend to yourself with love and respect. Get yourself through the flood of emotions as best you can, and come back to your pain when you have the resources and the capacity to do so. Sometimes it's going to be too much.
And it's, it's a good thing. It's helpful to recognize that, and again, it goes back to, I like, when I think about how she started this chapter, that, people are often, embarrassed, or shameful, about feeling, anxiety. Like, I shouldn't feel this way. But again, our emotions are emotions. They're normal. They're a part of us. They're what makes us human. Sleep issues.
Grief is exhausting. It sure is.
But the interesting thing where she talks about, sleep issues and grief being exhausting, is I see sleep sometimes as a double-edged sword. Because I've encountered, people, and if I think of my own journey as well, there were times that I might have been sleeping too much. Like I only just want to go to sleep, just let me sleep, just let me sleep. And there were times where I was not sleeping at all. And so I like, when she has here, these help you sleep, and this messes up my sleep. And, the ability to, again, recognize what helps or interrupts your respective sleep patterns. Like, I find, for me, I have to sleep with the TV on, or I'm used to sleeping with the TV on, but not all the time. And there are times when, like I can fall asleep with the lights, I can fall asleep with my bedroom lights on, TV going. There are other times where the bedroom, the light in the room has to be shut off, but the TV could still be on. Then there are times where no TV, no lights, completely pitch black, and and I can go to sleep. And I've never sat back and looked, created a pattern. What is going on? What is going on in my day when I was able to sleep here, or I couldn't sleep here? Why did I need the TV on here, but I didn't need the TV on there? I know a lot of times it's, when Greg is there, he's like, it's got to be dark in the house. It's like, all right, there's company over, and, I can't leave the TV on all night, which is, fine. I fall asleep just fine. And there are other times where it's like, no, TV's, by myself, TV's staying on.
Well, it's funny because we used to go to bed and have the TV on, and we had a sleep timer on it, or if we didn't, one of us would wake up and shut it off. But since he's been gone, if I have it on, and even if I'm tired, and depending on what day it is, and sometimes it doesn't even matter, I can end up staying up all night and not sleeping, and it messes me up. And it's like, you look at the clock, it's 2 o'clock. Okay, you got to go to sleep. Watch another show. Oh, it's 4 o'clock. It's 5:30. You better turn things off. And then I can go to bed and not have the TV on and go to sleep. But oftentimes what I'll do is I'll turn a book on, or a nightly meditation that has a timer on it. And by the time the half hour is up, I'm asleep. But I have this tendency, since he's been gone, to wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I find it hard to go back to sleep. And I do the same thing. I still try and turn on a meditation. I do not turn the TV on, because then I know that, forget it, it's over. I'll never go back to sleep. But that has been difficult. My sleep patterns have been kind of messed up because of that, even still to this day, no matter what I try.
See, and I have a hard time with making the determination, is my sleep patterns a result of my loss, or because for me anyway, my sleep patterns are the same before, how they were before, they're very similar afterwards. I think the only difference that I went through right after Patrick was I could not turn my bedroom light off. Like, it was several months, because there was a ritual in our house where I would be in my room, watching, whatever I was watching on TV, and I would doze off, and he would come around the corner and he'd shut my light off, or sometimes he'd come around the corner and think that I was asleep, and he'd shut my light off. I'm like, dude, why you shut my light off? Or I'd say, I'm not asleep, I'm not ready for my light to be off. But again, it was a thing in our house where he always shut my bedroom light off, or when my granddaughter was there, if I'd shut my own light off, she'd come around the corner. I'm like, Nana, what are you doing? I was like, what are you doing? She goes, what's going on here? So what? She goes, you don't shut your own light off. We shut the light off for her. And then, it sounds silly, but it was it was just a thing in our house. But I couldn't sleep in the dark. I just couldn't. I had to. It was a good, I'm going to say maybe 8 months almost before, like almost at the year anniversary, before I could shut the light off, and on my own, and now I could sleep in in a dark room, and and she brings up the whole thing about the nightmares and whatnot, which is the last
Yeah, we'll finish that up.
paragraph, the last part
Last
of this
section.
particular chapter.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, we'll finish that up, and then we'll get into the next chapter. One of my main things is my cat still wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning, wants to go outside. We don't have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning anymore. So, anyways, we have a poster available that for suicide prevention that has the phone numbers. We have these available at the foundation, and if any local organization, business wants any of these for their locations, let me know and we'll get them to you. I have some for you. Don't forget our hotline numbers. Make sure you keep them in your phone and available. And we have our positive quote for the day. We all take different paths in life, but no matter where we go, we take a little bit of each other everywhere.
I love that. That is so true.
And part of this, and that's why it kind of helps going through this journey. That's what I think. Bobby's coming with me on it, and whether he likes it or not.
Absolutely.
So, just like we always say, remember, there's always hope. Thanks.